Hey, this is Dave with the Shepherd School, and today we're going to talk about situational awareness, and more specifically, Colonel Jeff Cooper's color codes for situational awareness. Now, this may not help you when you're actually out in a gunfight, but it sure does help understanding mindset and understanding the concepts of situational awareness. Okay? Now, nobody thinks that you're going to be out there, actually articulating in your brain, okay, going from yellow to red to black to white to whatever, right? But it sure does help when we're discussing it if we're all under the same definitions, all right? First off, let's just say that being aware of your surroundings is not about being paranoid. Just because you realize that there are possible threats out in the world, that's not the same as saying that you're looking for boogeymen to jump out, right? It's just being reasonable, being responsible, and being aware. Let me give you some examples. One of the very first security guard classes I taught, and this course kind of comes out of my security guard class, was for an armed guard service that serviced ATMs, right? And the guy asked me if I could put in some instructional time discussing situational awareness because a lot of these guys would go out, they'd be in a van, they'd have, $100,000, $200,000 in the van, go out to these ATMs in the bad part of town. And if you're from Nashville, you know where, Dickerson Pike and Dodge City and stuff like that. But they're going out into these areas, 2 in the morning, low light, and spending all their time trying to fix the machine, and people are walking up on them, right? And so that's not being very situationally aware. Being situationally aware is leaving yourself some options. If you're stopping at a red light, bad part of town, don't get right up on the other vehicle. Leave some room to drive around them. If you work in security or you work in some sort of corrections or law enforcement or deployed out in the military, whatever, you may fight with your wife that morning. The kid may have failed home economics or something. But don't worry about that when you're actually out on the street in a dangerous situation. So leave your home life at home, pay attention to what's going on, and don't let yourself get caught up. As we said before, the color codes is just a definition. It just lets us discuss this and know what everybody's thinking about, right? Starts at condition white, which is the lowest level of awareness, to move up into condition red. Sometimes they add a fourth one, condition black, but for the purpose of this discussion, we're going to keep it kind of simple. Now, as you move up the awareness level, you're also using more energy. There's a higher level of mental and physical energy being used to keep these conditions, right? And condition white is the lowest, and so it's the easiest. And sadly, a lot of folks in our society today live their whole life condition white. Condition white just means you're not ready for anything because you're unaware of what's going on. Just kind of shuffling down the street thinking about, I'll be at work in a minute and I don't like my boss and, wife's mad at me, da 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 da, Somebody walk right up to you, stick a gun in your face, and you wouldn't even know they were there, right? Now, that's not saying that it's necessarily anything wrong morally with being in condition white. We all have to have our downtime. If you're taking a shower, whatever, you may not be aware, of your surroundings. You may not be ready for an attack. That's okay. But if you're going to carry a gun for self-defense, if you're going to have that kind of be prepared mentality, then let's stay out in condition white. As we move up, we move into condition yellow. And because you're more aware, it does take more energy. But luckily with condition yellow, it's not taking so much energy that you cannot maintain this for an indefinite period of time, right? But like I said, it does take a little bit of effort. In condition yellow, you're relaxed and you're calm, but you're still alert. You're scanning your surroundings for threats. You know what's in front of you. You know what's behind you. You're not necessarily anticipating an attack, but you're ready in case there is one. All right, next you're going to move up into condition orange. In orange, that's where you sense something is not right. So you start getting that fight or flight response, that autonomic nervous system stuff going on, where your blood vessels are dilating, you lose some of your fine motor control. Right? If you run around in condition orange, that's kind of those spastic guys where you come up behind them and say boo and they're on the ceiling. right? But you see a problem, you think you might be attacked, so you start dealing with that situation. In the classic Cooper example, say you're in a bank, the guy comes in a raincoat. It's 115 degrees out, right? Does a trench coat really fit in 115-degree weather, right? What's wrong? So um, you start figuring, if this guy pulls out a shotgun and starts robbing the bank, this is what I'm going to do, right? And so you see a problem, you orientate yourself on it, you decide what you're going to do, right? And that's kind of the whole OODA loop thing, which we talk about often. All right. So in addition to being mentally ready, in orange you're gearing up that it's about to be on, or there's a high potential for it to about to be on. So you're physically ready as well. And then condition red is you're actually fighting for your life, right? Or you're fighting. So as each level moves up, you get more awareness out of the deal, right? You get better able to respond, but it also takes more energy. You can't stay in condition red 24/7. You can't stay condition orange for weeks at a time, right? So it's just something that you're going to have to balance with your own personal situation. All right, and if you've ever watched the commercials for Mela Yella, Mela Yella, whatever, that kind of comes out of the combat helicopter pilots of Vietnam. They try to stay mellow because they need to be prepared for anything, right? They have a very stressful, very dangerous job, but they have to have that fine muscle control. It's a lot easier to maintain that mellow state of awareness than, oh my God, they're out to get me. Oh my God, they're out to get me. And this doesn't just have repercussions for, lethal force encounters, right? This is a good way to live your life, right? If you run around condition orange, condition red 24/7, 365, you're not going to have any friends because you're just going to be too intense for everybody. You're just, spazzed out and half insane. You go around condition white all the time and you're really not a prepper, right? So let's balance this just like we balance all things. We're not all food and no guns. We're not all guns and all food, right? Or no food. So we have to balance everything. And in situational awareness, this yellow is a good spot to sit in, all right? Okay, so I hope that was useful for you. And as always, you can always catch us online at www.tngun.com. We have lots of articles and videos and other things, sort of like what we did today. And we also are now on Blog Talk Radio on the Preparedness Radio Network. We have an hour-long show at 10 p.m. Central every Monday. If you can't catch us, when the show is live, you can always download the podcast to listen to on your way to work. So you can catch us online. You can listen to the podcast. You can email me. But I hope that this is helpful to you and you've learned something. So until next time, I appreciate you listening.